For this video, I'm going to showcase the functionality including CRUD of data, my API, and hopefully get into some arrow handling and my log examples, and then end it with unit testing approach. First, let's sign in. Let's utilize that account that I created to make sure that we're all on the same page. All right, great. So now I'm back to Joseph S. Chang, which is the email that I signed in with. And so now, as a user, I'm able to see this blue button. And then as a user, I'm able to delete recipes or save to favorites, which will be coming in version 2. This is definitely something that I need to take care of, especially in version 2, is that if it's not your recipe, do not showcase this, delete this recipe button. So now, as a user, let's create one. Let's go through full CRUD. And so let me pull up my notes real quick, just make sure that I have everything. So what we were trying to do is create a new recipe. So let's do sweet and sour ramps. And then I have an image already pulled up for ramps. And then if we were to add in ingredients, let's do 1 pound, one and a half pound of, or we can do pounds of ramps. Sorry, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and then we'll do 3 tablespoons of white wine. And if a user was like, "Hey, I have 4 ingredients," they can add in a new ingredient. And then we'll do 3 tablespoons of light colored honey. And then we'll match this with ramps, and then we'll add in, this is a great recipe for the springtime. And then we'll create it. And if we scroll all the way down, we'll be able to see our sweet and sour ramps within our community recipes. And if we were to view the recipes, we'll be able to view the ingredients that we need and the description, the photo, and our title. Um, Step-by-step instructions will be coming soon. I believe that's something that I want to implement in version 2, is cooking instructions, but in a way where it looks like a markdown file, to where it puts in 1, 2, 3, and 4 on an ordered list, and showcase the instructions on how to create certain recipes. And if I were, so moving on, we'll be doing an edit recipe, and I'll say, "Hey, this is a great recipe for a family of 4. Why not?" And we'll save it. And if we scroll down and we see that it is a great recipe for a family of 4, and we're like, "Hey, I didn't really like this recipe. I'm not really a big fan. I don't really want to showcase it." We can always delete it. But let's move into the home page real quick and see that now we have 2 new recipes for our local community that display ramps. And if we were to go back to recipe details, we can go back to that ID really quickly. And if we notice that this ID is 31, I'll showcase arrow handling in just a little bit. So let's delete this recipe and then move into this recipe. And then we'll go into 31 to see if it exists. And it doesn't. All right. And then let's say a user is like, "Hey, I'm moving into this endpoint." We'll hit an error page. In version 2, I really want to create a way where users are able to still see the navigation bar, the footer page, but have a way to access back to the page without having the back button. Um, Moving into code base, I really want to showcase my log file. And utilizing the log is just like a console log. This was very helpful for me, especially figuring out how to grab, let's say, the cognito sub, or certain identification that I needed to display data onto my web pages. This was, as a developer from before, I utilized console log a lot in my lifetime, and so log4j is just a better way to lock in on what was going on, what is happening within my code base and how can I grab those data? Why isn't that working? Sometimes it was a little finicky to where it wouldn't point me to the right direction, but it did. But right now I have it just logging everything from the generic DAO, from recipe controller to the edit recipe controller to adding recipe controller, just making sure that everything is kind of inserting it inside the right way. I wanted to just showcase, debug. A lot of it was debugging. Um, but yeah, Log4j was definitely a big help for me, and it was a great way to learning tool, especially utilizing it with Java. I'm so used to like system out print line or console.log, but this was definitely a lot better than I expected. And when it came to error handling, Logger, we get into unit testing. For unit testing, I kept it very basic. So I have it getting to get all, get by ID, insert, um, insert, update, and delete. So I kept it very basic. I definitely could have done a lot better with my testing. Um, but a lot of my testing was breaking and I wasn't and I was just not willing to deal with it at the moment. And that's my fault. But yes, I could have done a lot better with my testing. That is one key takeaway from this project is that maybe I should hone in more time and do better with my testing. I think this is a fault of mine, and I could have definitely made this application a lot better, especially with better testing and making sure that I knew what information was happening, how the information was taken care of. Um, One thing I didn't do too well with was spoonacula DAO tests. I have this coming out as the moment because my AWS database was getting attacked by bots. It was making API calls day by day, and so it wouldn't let me like run my application, do a testing, and see information on my page because it was like, hey, you need to pay this. And so that was a fun part of my life for a little bit and just figuring out what was going on. And I figured out, I was like, oh, maybe it's because I'm getting attacked by bots. But at the end of the day, this is a huge key takeaway for me is that I think I need to do a lot better with my testing. My code is definitely good, but my testing level is could be better. Um, and yeah, I think that's a lesson that I need to learn, and um, that's something that I'll do differently into my next project is do better unit testing, test. And if I'm able to understand the testing, then I'm able to understand the code base a lot better. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, this is my unit testing, full CRUD, log, and yeah, my API. Um, Thank you.